Imagine if tech giants like Amazon, Google, or even Meta were castles, for instance, and their various founders, the kings of the castles. So these kings control who enters their castle, what they see, and how much sellers have to pay to be there. The people shopping and leaving reviews are like peasants working for free, while smaller businesses are like servants paying rent to stay inside. Now, this typically describes Techno Feudalism, a digital feudal system. Welcome to the Genesis. The concept techno-feudalism arises from critics of capitalism's transformation due to digital platforms like Amazon, Google, and Meta. And the term was popularized by a Greek economist, politician, and author, Yanis Varoufakis. He argues that the social order is changing as tech giants now wield enormous power and influence, extracting value from their users without fair compensation. This creates systemic inequalities where wealth and power are concentrated in the hands of platform owners, while the majority remain economically vulnerable.
Now, the concept of techno-feudalism, especially now where there are a lot of creators online, everybody is doing something, either creating content to sell their business or to just have an audience. You know, everybody has a reason for creating content. But the digital platforms now, if you want to ask if the digital platforms are exploitative of their users, it all boils down to this. Number one, these platforms in the first place, you need to understand that these platforms are businesses, right? So right from the onset, the system is not built to be fair. Although now there comes the saying that if life is unfair to everyone, does that not mean that life is fair? So if the system is unfair to all the tenants, does that mean the system is still fair? Regardless of that, the rewards that the creators are getting for all the work they put in and all that work is still subject to manipulation from the owners of these digital platforms, right? The digital landlords per se. So you just have to ask yourself, in a system that is not built to be fair, can you really expect fairness?
Now, there's something called cloud rent. So instead of competing in markets, tech companies create their own platforms where they charge sellers high fees to reach customers. Now, this is typical of the medieval feudal system. And to top it all, these tech companies use algorithms and AI to control what goes on their platforms.
With most businesses being mostly virtual or heavily dependent on virtual platforms like Amazon, Google, Meta, think about businesses that run strictly on food ordering services, or perhaps cab hiring services or whatever. Even if it's a service that runs on training, online platforms that do trainings and co. You're heavily dependent on the platform your business is based. If the owners of that platform decide for any reason that you have flouted one or two policies and decide to shut down your presence on their platform, you lose all your millions of followers. Now think of how many actors and actresses, artists who rely on, or influencers who rely on followers online to make a living, losing all their followers overnight. And the amount of appeals they make back to the platform, hoping that someone would at least give them back their platform. Then that means that businesses are becoming heavily controlled by big tech giants.
There's also the issue of free labor, where users leave reviews, post videos, and share data, thus helping these platforms grow richer.
Personally, my own take is these systems are not, right from time, these systems were not built to be fair. It's a business, right? It's a business, and the landlords expect, digital landlords expect to make profit. So is there a way for them to make profit and still give fair rewards to the creators, that's to the tenants, the digital tenants? I think it's possible, but it all boils down to the ethics of the digital landlords. I keep saying digital landlords because it's techno-feudalism, but it boils down to the ethics of these landlords. Is it something that they are willing to do? And if they are willing to do it, how far are they willing to go to be fair?
The challenge is that we wish we could have ours in Nigeria, our own platform, so we don't have to rely on global platforms, but we can't because of the amount of money it takes to set up data centers that can attend to millions of requests simultaneously. It also is going to be expensive to have server centers, and this is exactly where we need to get it right. What we need is to make sure that while we are still reliant on global giants for hosting our platforms, we must have proxy servers locally hosted so that even for any reason we lose any of these global platforms, we can still have our data intact and we can have our followers' data intact as well. So think of Nigeria having a platform where every business is still domiciled and runs in parallel with whatever happens in the global platform. For us in programming, we can simply do that by web scraping or any form of API that keeps our database here safer and protected. So if we do the right thing, it's possible to eventually get to a point where we can build our capacity at the level of data centers and server centers and decide to migrate fully. Countries, or at least businesses in countries, should try to own the platform that they run their businesses so that they don't become victims of techno-feudalism.
The key word here is control. And some industry analysts believe that there is need for a collective pushback by users of these platforms. They agree that a fair system is where technology benefits everyone, not just a few billionaires.
To watch previous episodes and for more updates, kindly follow The Genesis on our social media platforms. Thanks for watching.